Hey everyone and welcome. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please support me and give this video a thumbs up. General Hospital spoilers reveal that Harrison Chase and Brook Lynn Quartermaine will want to know further about the pregnant woman named Delilah that they set up in torture. It feels like Delilah's primary purpose was to show up, have a baby, and presumably get killed off. This may set the stage for Brook Lynn and Chase to borrow Delilah's child if all goes well. Still, there will still be some important mystifications to unravel when it comes to Delilah's history. Delilah is hiding some big secrets that will eventually be revealed. So, let's bandy 5 questions that need answers. 1. Where is Delilah from? For starters, Jitch Pens will need to give some word regarding where Delilah's from, or at least where she was before she came to Port Charles. Chase and Brook Lynn may go digging to find out if Delilah has any cousins they could reach out to. Why did Delilah come to Port Charles? That brings us to why Delilah's reason for coming to PC. Whether Delilah was trying to find someone she knew or negotiate a charge of some kind, that's commodity Brook Lynn and Chase will want to discover, too. 3. What kind of trouble was Delilah in? Of course, we should also admit that Delilah was in some kind of trouble. Someone may have targeted Delilah and caused her medical extremity, but she did her stylish to shut down any attempt to call the police. Delilah may be hysterical of someone who takes the law into their own hands or someone who's important enough to control the bobbies. This plot may be leading to the big reveal of a new villain. So, that's commodity to keep in mind. 4. Who is the biological father of Delilah's baby? Another major disclosure that's coming up involves the biopater of Delilah's baby. It could be the implicit new baddie we mentioned, which would complicate effects for Chase and Brook Lynn if they've to go up against someone fighting to make this relinquishment be 5. What does 2nd Delilah's tattoo mean? Delilah has a crazy-looking tattoo that's obviously going to be pivotal to the story moving forward. It could tie in with the baby's natural father or some disturbing cult-like group that Delilah was part of. General Hospital spoilers say the show will have to answer these Delilah questions and any others that pop over along the way. So, do miss any wild news to come. General Hospital spoilers reveal that Delilah needs to be rushed into surgery. Whether the woman dies or not, could there be a secret connection to Nathan West? Keep reading and let's bandy the possibilities. Brook Lynn Quartermaine's discovery. Let's launch off with Brook Lynn Quartermaine. The woman was on a date with Harrison Chase when they came across a pregnant woman in torture. The woman was aunt dead but in bad condition. So they got the woman to the sanitarium right down. For some reason, the woman didn't want anyone to tell her croaker. This pregnant woman is intriguing because BLQ and Chase have decided to start the relinquishment process. They indeed had a converse with Alexis Davis about their chances of espousing Delilah's exigency surgery. Back to Delilah. She was asked about injuries as she has some internal bleeding. Also, she passed out. Now Britt Warren is prompting Lucas Jones that if they want to save mama and child, there needs to be a surgery incontinently. Still laterally. Elizabeth Liz Baldwin finds Britt in a vulnerable position. However, the baby lives. Could it remind her of her history? If Delia dies, mysterious tattoo clue. General Hospital spoilers reveal that Brook Lynn was only suitable to get a first name from the pregnant woman. The woman also had a mysterious tattoo on her wrist. However, they will want to find out if the baby has any surviving family if Delilah dies. So, that could be an indication about the woman's history. Nathan West's connection. Now, how does Delilah connect to Nathan? Well, the woman said she's months pregnant. That lines up with around the time that Nathan was set up back in Port Charles in an auto accident. Is it possible that Delilah and Nathan partake a connection? Going indeed further, could Nathan be the father of Delilah's baby? Nathan claims He doesn't flash back anything from his missing 7 times. Still, there was also that scene months ago with Jack Brennan questioning Nathan. Jack seems connected to a lot of mysterious returns, as is Jen Sidwell with Nathan Britt, and now Delilah. Commodity questionable is surely going on in Port Charles. There's also Nathan moving on so snappily from Maxie Jones. Still, he wouldn't be suitable to move on so snappily or fluently. If Maxie was the last memory that Nathan had, it sounds like we might be starting to get some answers about Nathan's history. General Hospital spoilers allude that Delilah may give Harrison Chase and Brook Lynn Quartermaine the most awful gift possible. Indeed, if she's not around to see it be, Brook Lynn and Chase came to Delilah's deliverance. So they're obviously veritably integrated with her plot. There's a good reason for that now that Chase and Brook Lynn are officially ready to borrow a child. Delilah is months pregnant, but she's gearing up for an exigency C-section since she's in medical torture. Now that Delilah has internal bleeding complications, the situation is relatively dire. Although Britt Westbourne will try her stylish to save Delilah and her little bone. In the March occasion, it may be too late for Delilah. There's a good chance Delilah will face a grim fate and leave behind an unseasonable baby. Of course, there's no evidence on the baby's biopsy yet, but he may be an unlawful character who has no business raising this child. It's clear that Delilah's been scarified and facing some trouble, so that might be connected to the baby's father. Whatever the case, it seems likely that Chase and Brook Lynn will be suitable to borrow Delilah's child in the end. It makes sense that Delilah might have a baby girl since Brook Lynn and Chase could name her Leia for a couple of important reasons. The first would obviously be a way to recognize Delilah's memory, since Leia can be a docked interpretation of that name. The other reason would be to name the baby after Brook Lynn's great grandmother Leia Quartermaine. Although Leia was also supposed to be the name of Sam McCall and Sonny Corinthos' stillborn son, the name can still be used now as another homage to Leia Q as well as Delilah. It may be a long and winding relinquishment process for Chase and Brook Lynn, but it clearly feels like the show's trying to give them a brand new son to raise. How do you feel about this unforeseen Delilah curveball? Are you hopeful this is the morning of Brook Lynn and Chase's happy family? General Hospital spoilers say Chase and Brook Lynn have further shocking news ahead of them. So, do miss all the twists and turns to come. General Hospital spoilers suggest that Delilah burst onto the Port Charles scene during the Tuesday, March occasion when Harrison Chase and Brook Lynn Quartermaine spotted the veritably pregnant woman unconscious coming to a domain bench. Is Delilah's baby linked to someone in Port Charles? And could that someone be Nathan West? Then's what we know. General Hospital spoilers for Tuesday's show remind suckers that Delilah was reluctant to go to the sanitarium at first. With that said, both BLQ and Chase claimed, and it's a good thing that they did. After the testing was done, Dr. Britt Westbourne discovered internal bleeding. It was nearly as if Delilah had been struck in the stomach or had taken a fall. Still, the woman didn't recall anything of that sort, or so she claimed. Delilah began having condensation but claimed they must be Braxton Hicks as she was only 7 months pregnant. Still, it appears that the trauma Delilah faced, whether she recalls it or not, has upped her baby's appearance. In an intriguing twist of events, Nathan West returned to PC months agone. Is this a coexistence, or could Nathan be Delilah's baby's father? Well, at most suckers know, there are no concurrents in the land of detergents. Second, and as Nathan hasn't been exactly acting like Nathan, could this be a plot twist in his story? Chase and BLQ will probably end up espousing the child. So, how crazy would it be if Nathan were the baby's natural father? Could he have caused the trauma that touched off Delilah's preterm labor, too? As suckers noticed a tattoo on her wrist while BLQ was holding Delilah's hand. This could also be a major indication about Delilah and her baby's link to Port Charles. General Hospital spoilers for Wednesday, March reveal that Britt Westbourne will do everything in her power to help Delilah and her future child. Ava Jerome will also get the wrong idea at Windmere. So, let's bandandy what suckers can look forward to. For starters, Carly Spencer just set up a safe at the castle, but it won't be long until Jen Sidwell returns. That'll force Carly to get back to pretending she doesn't have ulterior motives for this visit. Ava will ultimately come on and could maybe wonder if Sidwell has set up yet another romantic mate. Suckers will see Ava draw incorrect conclusion about Carly's connection to Sidwell, who ultimately admit their conniving commodity and ask Ava to join in. Carly will assure Ava that it's going to be indelible. So she'll no mistrustfulness be talking about the regale party that Sidwell wants to throw. Meanwhile, Jocelyn Jacks will put Marco Rios through a grilling session and will feel skeptical about his answers. In Carly's garret, Charlotte Cassadine will slip over there for another private meeting with her per Valentine. Cassadine will promise that he's working on commodity, but he'll push Charlotte to be patient in the meantime. Jocelyn will eventually stop by Carly's house and get advised to someone's presence there. Once Jocelyn draws her armament, she'll supposedly head for the garret and burst right through the door. Will Jocelyn find Valentine alone or with Charlotte? Either way, there's a good chance Valentine is about to get caught under Carly's roof. So, Jocelyn will anticipate some answers at Jordan Ashford's place. She'll seek an answer of her own now that she's asked Curtis Ashford to move by. Will Curtis go on with the idea? Could Curtis notice Jordan's near-gestation test at some point, or will she manage to conceal it? At JH, Delilah's exigency C-section will move forward ASAP. Britt will let Lucas Jones know that if there's any chance of saving this mama and her baby, she has to operate now. Unfortunately, Britt's sweats may not be enough to save Delilah. All signs point to Delilah's baby pulling through, but Delilah herself may bleed out on the operating table. Britt may deteriorate over her lost case in the fates, since Elizabeth Baldwin is about to spot her in a moment of vulnerability. Next, a Riddle character will catch Nathan West and Lulu Spencer's intimate-looking scene. So, another kiss may be brewing. Could Maxie Jones get a skull peep of the news Lulu will partake laterally this week? Or will someone additional substantiation the stunner? General Hospital spoilers say Lulu and Nathan have some tricky situations ahead. Second. Anyhow. So, stay tuned. In a plot filled with heartache, mending, and unanticipated stopgap, the lives of Harrison Chase and Brook Lynn Quartermaine take a profound turn after the woeful death of Delilah, leaving behind an invigorated baby girl who suddenly has no bone to watch for her. The ruinous loss shakes everyone in Port Charles. But it hits Chase and Brook Lynn especially hard, as they had grown near to Delilah during the final months of her delicate gestation. Delilah's struggles had been well known among the small circle of musketeers who supported her, and Brook Lynn in particular had stepped in numerous times to help with croaker visits, emotional support, and indeed preparing a small nursery when Delilah stressed she might not survive parturition due to complications. Tragically, those fears come reality when Delilah dies shortly after giving birth, leaving the fragile invigorated alone in the world. The emotional shock ripples through the community, and while numerous mourn Delilah's end, the question of what will be to her son snappily becomes the center of attention. At first, the sanitarium social workers begin agitating foster care options. But Brook Lynn cannot bear the study of the baby being transferred down to non-natives after everything Delilah endured. Chase, who has always been deeply compassionate beneath his disciplined surface as operative, sees the pain in Brook Lynn's eyes and realizes that this bitsy life might be the unanticipated blessing that could change their future ever. The couple has formerly faced their share of struggles while trying to make a life together. From career challenges to family pressures within the important Quartermaine dynasty, but this moment forces them to defy commodity much bigger than themselves. As they sit together in the quiet sanitarium room, looking at the baby sleeping peacefully in the buggy, Brook Lynn admits she feels an inviting connection to the child. Nearly as if Delilah trusted her to step in if the worst ever happened. Chase doesn't vacillate long ahead, agreeing that they should explore relinquishment. Indeed, though he knows the legal process will be complicated and emotionally draining. Their decision shocks some members of the Quartermaine family at first, especially those who worry the couple is acting purely out of grief rather than careful planning. But Brook Lynn stands firm, averring that the baby deserves a loving home rather of query. Meanwhile, Chase still begins probing the relinquishment process, determined to prove that they can give a stable terrain despite the chaos that frequently surrounds the Quartermaines. As the days pass, the couple spends further time with the invigorated, feeding her, rocking her to sleep, and sluggishly forming the bond that will ultimately define their family. It's during one of those quiet late-night moments that Brook Lynn reveals the name she has been allowing about Leah. Chase incontinently recognizes the significance because the name carries deep meaning within the Quartermaine heritage. The baby would be named after Leah Quartermaine, the cherished dame who represented kindness, strength, and compassion in the family for decades. Brook Lynn explains that recognizing Leah Quartermaine would emblematize the stopgap that this little girl grows up girdled by the same warmth and liberality that Leah embodied throughout her life. But the name has an alternate, more particular meaning as well. Brook Lynn reveals that Delilah formerly mentioned loving the name Leah during a discussion about baby names weeks before her death, though she no way officially chose it. By naming the child Leah, Chase and Brook Lynn would not only recognize the Quartermaine heritage, but also save a small piece of Delilah's memory, icing that her wishes and dreams live on through her son. The emotional weight of that consummation brings both of them to gashes as they understand the name represents two important connections. One to family heritage and another to the woman whose life ended far too soon. When the relinquishment process eventually begins, the couple faces several hurdles, including background checks, legal sounds, and questions from child will authorities who want to ensure the baby's future will be stable. Despite the stress, Chase and Brook Lynn remain united, determined to prove that love, fidelity, and family support can overcome any handicap. Indeed, skeptical cousins begin to soften as they witness how naturally the couple cares for the baby, with Chase showing surprising gentleness while rocking her to sleep and Brook Lynn artificially embracing fatherhood in a way no bone anticipated. Ultimately, the moment arrives when the judge reviews their case and officially grants the relinquishment, fairly making the little girl part of their family. In a quiet yet deeply emotional gathering at the Quartermaine manse, Chase and Brook Lynn introduced their son to the family as Leah, explaining the two sincere reasons behind the name. The advertisement brings gashes to numerous eyes, especially among those who flash back the original Leah Quartermaine and understand how befitting it's that a new generation will carry heritage forward. 4. Brook Lynn and Chase, the moment represents far further than a legal palm. It marks the morning of a new chapter filled with responsibility, mending, and love. The loss of Delilah will always remain a painful memory. But through baby Leah, her story continues in a way no bone could have prognosticated. What began as tragedy has converted into stopgap, reminding everyone in Port Charles that indeed in the darkest moments, life has a way of creating new onsets where love can grow stronger than grief. The appearance of baby Leah begins to transfigure the diameter of life for Harrison Chase and Brook Lynn Quartermaine in ways neither of them could have completely imagined. The formerly changeable and frequently dramatic atmosphere of the Quartermaine manse sluggishly shifts as the sound of an infant's soft cries and gentle hoarse laugh fills the halls, creating a sense of warmth that indeed long-time residers admit they haven't felt in times. Brook Lynn, who formerly thrived on chaos music, assiduity drama, and complicated family feuds, suddenly finds herself embracing quiet mornings spent rocking Leah in the nursery, humming lullabies and brooding pledges about the future. Chase, meanwhile, discovers a softer side of himself that surprises indeed his closest musketeers. Known around Port Charles as a devoted and intrepid operative, he now rushes home later shifts just to hold his son, refusing to miss indeed the lowest moments of her early life. The bond between father and son grows snappily, and numerous who witness it remark that Chase seems fully converted by the experience of getting a purr. For Brook Lynn, fatherhood awakens an important sense of purpose. She frequently thinks about the two reasons behind Leia's name and feels a deep responsibility to recognize both meanings every single day. Flashing back, Tracy Quartermaine reminds her of the heritage of compassion and consanity that formerly guided the Quartermaine family through numerous struggles. Brook Lynn begins to see raising Leia not just as a particular trip, but also as an occasion to revive that spirit within the family. At the same time, she keeps Delilah's memory alive in quiet, sincere ways. Occasionally, she tells the baby stories about the stalwart woman who brought her into the world, promising that Leia will always know how deeply she was loved. From the veritably mourning. These moments are emotional but mending, helping Brook Lynn process the grief that firstly brought the baby into their lives. The wider community of Port Charles also rallies around the new family. Musketeers stop by with gifts, advice, and endless offers to babysit. Though Chase frequently jokes that he doesn't trust anyone differently with his son yet. Indeed, those who originally questioned whether the couple was ready for parenting begin to admit they were wrong. Watching Brook Lynn precisely cradle Leia or seeing Chase proudly introduce her as my son makes it clear that their love is genuine and unshakable. Sluggishly, the Dubai fade and are replaced with admiration for the way they stepped forward when a helpless child demanded them most. As months pass, Leia becomes a symbol of stopgap for everyone who knew Delilah, rather of flashing back only the tragedy of her death. People now see a living memorial that commodity beautiful can grow from loss. Chase and Brook Lynn frequently reflect on how near the baby came to entering the foster system and shiver at the study of what might have been. Rather, Leia now grows up girdled by a large extended family, hoarse laugh echoing through the Quartermaine manse, and parents who see her as the topmost blessing of their lives. In quiet moments late at night, when the house is eventually still, and Leia sleeps peacefully in her crib, Chase and Brook Lynn occasionally look at each other in unbelief at how much their lives have changed. What began as a heartbreaking tragedy eventually brought them a son they no way anticipated but now cannot imagine living without. And as they watch little Leia grow, they know the two reasons behind her name will guide her life ever. Recognizing the history while carrying love, strength, and hope into the future.